Exposing the grift. Debunking Asmongold on IQ in less than 10 minutes. Well, thank God. I didn't want to watch it for that long, so it should be easy. Here we go.
In one of the most ironic social media posts of all time, Asmongold makes the claim, in response to Mehdi Hassan, that the average IQ in Somalia is 68, and that
I was rounding up, actually. It's like somewhere around 67.67, but yeah.
This claim isn't racist, but a fact. What makes this post ironic is the very last bit where Zach claims Hassan's tweet is an attempt to push a narrative.
It absolutely is trying to push a narrative. It's trying to push the false narrative that every culture and every group of people has an identical IQ. This is not true. Everybody knows this isn't true. You take 3 seconds and you look at the world and you know it isn't true.
Well, not only is this Asmongold's attempt to push a narrative, but the claim itself that African people have low IQs is also an attempt to push a narrative.
Yes.
That number typically traces back to the world.
There's also a lot of other components to why people have low IQ, and it's not necessarily race. I'm sure that race is a component, but I would say it's probably like a 4th or 5th level component. So the big reason is you've got the big 3, right? 2 of them are like kind of harder to say, and the last one is like a little bit hard. It's a little bit more obvious. Inbreeding is number 1. Do you think that inbreeding is going to lower people's IQ or not? Do you think that a society full of people that are inbreeding are going to have low IQs? Is it going to fuck up people's brains? Absolutely it is. You also have the amount of nutrition. You have food. So if you take people that are inbred, that have no food, you are going to have people that have extremely low IQs. This is just obvious. And the problem is that some people want to pretend like this isn't the case, but it's very evident that it is because your brain isn't getting the nutrients that it needs. Now, I think that, again, if you really even assign all of that and you remove all of that, very clearly there probably are some degree of racial differences, but the main factors are inbreeding and nutrition. That's a massive fucking factor. And also, if you look at the way that people from Somalia have integrated into British culture, how they've integrated into American culture, how they've come from, let's say, Japan, you will see one common variable every single time. It's that these people are total drains on the society. They are massively problematic. They're scamming. They steal things. They do not integrate. And at the end of the day, they are a negative for the societies that they come to. So why would you bring in all of these people that have such a high rate of there being a negative outcome? Why would you ever do that? It's stupid. It has, like, if you just take a step back, are you keeping your country safe? Are you keeping your people safe when you allow immigration from a country that has a massive inbreeding? Do you want to know what the percentage of women who are victims of female genital mutilation are in Somalia? 99%. I'm not kidding. If you look up the World Health Organization, and they have a study on this, 99% of women in Somalia are victims of female genital mutilation. I don't want to import that culture into my country. I don't want to take the risk that I'm importing that culture into my country. I don't want them here. At all.
Work of Richard Lynn.
It's disgusting.
This guy, a literal self-described scientific racist.
What does that have to do with whether it's right or not? You're calling somebody a word. What does that have to do with this?
This man was part of a secret eugenics conference where, and I'm not joking, there were people favorably arguing in favor of pedophilia. So
that's obviously bad, but you know what's even worse is probably the fact that pedophilia is normalized over in Somalia. If you're going to act like that's bad, why don't you look at what they're doing? Look at whenever they're getting married.
Yeah, this is the guy Asmongold is quoting. Lynn published a paper in 1982 called IQ in Africa in the pseudoscientific journal The Mankind Quarterly, a white supremacist outlet that is currently...
See, he's trying to poison the well by saying that things are pseudoscientific, saying they're white supremacist, etc. you're not actually attacking the argument. You're not actually attacking anything that's being said. You're assigning negative variables and negative attributes to it, and then hoping that people, because of those negative variables and attributes that you're assigning to it, will assume that it's wrong because they're not supposed to agree with things that have these attributes. That's what he's doing. It's dishonest.
Maintained by the hilariously named Human Diversity Foundation.
Yes. Because there's diversity between humans. That's correct.
Far-right white nationalist company.
Again, like none of this has anything to do with whether this is a good or an accurate thing at all. This is more, again, and again, I want to take a step back. It's environmental, it's educational. There is also the factor of inbreeding, which is massive. All of these things have nothing to do with race, and they're still all factors for IQ. So what's happening is that you just have a person who's throwing a bunch of buzzwords at it to hopefully get people to disagree with what's being said. You're trying to shut down conversation, and you have to keep in mind, let's go back and talk about that eugenics conference that was banned. The reason why these things are banned is because research into this topic isn't allowed. You have to keep in mind that the father that invented DNA, or not invented, excuse me, discovered DNA, was effectively had his entire career destroyed because he said that there's a chance that there could be a racial basis for where IQ is coming from. And so the reason why there isn't a lot of research or information in this is because there is a wrong answer. And it's basically politicized science that has been effectively co-opted by activists that will not let people have a conversation about this topic at all. That's the reason what's going on.
In this journal, Flynn argued that the IQ of sub-Saharan Africa...
The guy's a critical drinker, generational hater. What is this? Pull this up. See this?
Drinker is a grifter. He's trying to tell the audience what he thinks they want to hear. Hilariously, it works on you, proving that the audience of grifters are very, very low IQ. Others can argue differently. There is no winner here. Besides, you're a low IQ alt-right incel that has a personal vendetta against anything you perceive to be left-wing. You are not a reliable source. The guy is a low IQ moron that is seeking attention. I mean, his videos are hate videos, not criticism videos.
Of course.
Yeah, that explains exactly why you're a loser who spends his free time making fun of marginalized groups on the internet while being a dipshit low IQ manlet that is invisible to every woman walking past you down the street.
Again, it's all about the approval of women. It has nothing to do with whether somebody's right or not. It's about, are you getting the consensus approval?
What you got fired for, you low IQ piece of shit. One thing I always
Notice how his arguments are low IQ? Yeah, because IQ matters. It obviously matters. And anybody that thinks that it doesn't matter is probably low IQ.
From grifters is how they are so opportunistic that they will contradict themselves if it means they can serve up a shallow dunk to their low IQ viewership. That he knows the point that's being made, but is misrepresenting it to fit the narrative he's trying to push.
Right.
I mean, the alternative is to suggest he's low IQ. And I would never do that. God, I can't take any more of this low IQ drivel. Drinker is
Well, anyway, so this is the person who's making a video of me talking about IQs. Huh. It sure seems like he cares a lot about IQ, actually. Right. And also, keep in mind, none of these were arguments. None of this was an argument at all.
Was around 70. Notice I said
Wait, what?
Sub-Saharan Africa was around. In this journal, Flynn argued that the IQ of Sub-Saharan Africa was around 70.
Okay.
Notice I said Sub-Saharan Africa. Yes, Lynn's argument was that a continent that consists of about 50 countries all had a similar very low IQ.
Okay. All of the European countries have similar IQs. All of the Asian countries have similar IQs. This tracks. Yeah.
The obvious problem with this argument is that
this is an average.
Is huge, and there are over 1 billion people with over 1,000 different ethnic groups. Nigeria alone has more than 200 ethnic groups, and that's a single country. Do you think Lynn tested every ethnic group in Nigeria, let alone...
Do you think that one of them is going to have a higher IQ than people in China? What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, really, it's just so retarded that it's just like you think about this for 3 seconds and you immediately realize that it's retarded. Oh my God.
The rest of the continent? Yeah, me neither. Anyway,
let's be honest for just a second.
Other psychologists went back and actually checked Lynn's work.
Let's look at
Wichards, Dolan, and van der Maas published a systematic review in the journal Intelligence, looking at IQ data from sub-Saharan African samples. What they found was that because African countries are developing countries, they hadn't experienced the variables that caused the Flynn effect, such as improvements to nutrition, healthcare, and even toys. In other words, the environment is the most relevant variable in determining one's IQ score.
So why would you want to bring people from the country that have a bad environment into your country? Why would you want to do that? So, like, I don't understand. Because, like, so if your brain isn't developed properly because, like, for whatever reason, you know, environmentally or whatever else, who creates it? Well, they do. They're killing each other and cutting each other up. They've been doing this for thousands of years. I mean, obviously, that's the reason why. And you can't understand their IQ is so good. They have to keep living in mud huts rather than building houses. Exactly what you said. Yeah, of course. So the thing is that it's not relevant to me whether the IQ is arrived at through racial, genetic, or environmental reasons. The only thing that matters is whether the IQ is or isn't. If you bring a bunch of people who are functionally retarded into your country, you're going to have a lot of problems. So why would you ever invite that type of chaos into your country? It doesn't matter where they're coming from. It doesn't matter why it's happening. Why would you ever do that? It's stupid. There's a reason, like, aren't like 80% of these people on welfare in America? It's insane. And then also keep in mind that it's not just systematic, right? Or it's not just environmental, because even, like, for example, Somali American families inside of America that have been here for 10 years, they have been in America for 10 years. They still have a much dramatically higher rate of being on welfare than, normal, like, I would say, like, just average, everyday Americans from the general population. That's it.
Genetics. But let's rewind for a second.
It has nothing to do whether it's genetics or not.
Mention something that you all may not be familiar with.
What is it?
The Flynn effect.
Right.
The Flynn effect is the observed rise in IQ scores over time. Basically, if you gave an average...
I think this is true. So in general, you are going to have a ceiling and a floor of IQ. Like, for example, if somebody's really, really naturally smart, if they are not well educated and they're not, they don't have good... what do you call it? They don't have good, like, environment, or, like, they don't have good nutrition, and for whatever reason, they don't have these options. Well, what ends up happening is that, yeah, they're not going to be as smart as they could be, but their floor is higher than somebody else's. So it's the same as anything else. There's a variation of it, but that variation doesn't go from 100 to 0. There is a natural limitation that each person has. And if you really think that you can train 2 random people and one of them can just randomly be Einstein just because you educate them in the right way, you're just delusional. You're obviously delusional. Every single other element of humanity is measured in this way. So, for example, there are people who are shorter because they have lower, amounts of food that they're eating, but it's not like people that have an adequate amount of food are always 7 feet tall either. There is a genetic variation, but inside of that genetic variation, there is a ceiling and a floor for each individual person.
Person from 1901, a modern IQ test, they would score dramatically lower than the people of today. Not because they were genetically predisposed to being less intelligent, but because IQ tests measure certain types of abstract...
There are people that are just stupid. And there's a problem, is that a lot of people inside of Western society are terrified of the idea that people are not equal. But they're not. And we all know this. Everybody knows this. If you've gone to a public school, you would know this. There are a lot of people that are just born with less talent points than others. They're stupid. They're dumb. And there's nothing that you're going to be able to do. You're not going to be able to like teach them something. Maybe you can make it a little bit better, but you're never going to teach a lot of these people to be rocket scientists. It's just never going to happen. It's a delusion, but people don't want to talk about that because they're worried that it could be considered or seen as eugenics.
Reasoning, pattern recognition, and problem solving that modern societies train us in constantly.
We're going to take a quick voyage over the cognitive history of the 20th century.
Yes.
Because during that century...
People want to believe that anything's possible with the right luck and the right the right opportunity. Yeah, it's not. There are some people that are just losers and some people that aren't.
Our minds have altered dramatically. As you all know, the cars that people drove in 1900 have altered because the roads are better and because of technology.
Well, it's because people with high IQs designed them.
And our minds have altered too. We've gone from people who confronted a concrete world and analyzed that world primarily in terms of how much it would benefit them, to people who confront a very complex world. And it's a world where we've had to develop new mental habits, new habits of mind. Now, this dramatic change was drawn to my attention through massive IQ gains over time. And these have been truly massive. That is, we don't just get a few more questions right on IQ tests. We get far more questions right on IQ tests than each succeeding generation back to the time that they were invented.
People are getting smarter? Okay. This is an argument against what I said? What does this have to do with what I said?
Indeed, if you score the people a century ago against modern norms, they would have an average IQ of 70. If you score us against their norms, we would have an average IQ of 130. Now, this has raised all sorts of questions. Were our immediate ancestors on the verge of mental retardation? Because 70 is normally the score for mental retardation. Or are we on the verge of all being gifted? Because 130 is the cutting line for giftedness.
James Flynn, the political scientist who documented this pattern, showed that IQ scores increased roughly 3 points per decade in many countries throughout the 20th century.
I think there's a lot of reasons why that happens, and one of the reasons is a eugenic reason. Whenever you have dumb people that are really stupid, the probability is that they're not going to reproduce. So the reason why is that those dumb people usually make bad decisions. Those bad decisions get them put in jail, and you can't have a kid whenever you're in jail. So that's what happens, is that a lot of dumb people well, of course it's obvious that's true, is that a lot of the dumbest people are going to get removed from the gene pool, right? What about idiocracy? I love how people are saying the argument against me is it's a movie. The argument against what I'm saying is a movie? What do you mean? No, it's obvious this is true. You're going to have the lowest, dumbest people that, like, I'm not talking about, this is what people don't understand. You're thinking I'm talking about people with like a 90 or an 80 IQ. I'm not. I'm talking about people with a 60 or a 70 IQ. This is a totally different wavelength. And those people are probably not reproducing because a lot of those, especially the majority of those people with that low of intelligence, are men. Those men are getting put in jail. That's it.
So, if IQ were purely genetic and fixed...
It's not purely genetic. There's a lot of factors to it. Genetics are one factor, but it's not the only factor.
That kind of rapid change would be impossible. Evolution does not move that fast. Your great-grandparents were not biologically inferior to you. They just lived in a world with less formal education.
Well, they were shorter, too. Another component to this is that it's height. Like, people in general over the years have become taller. And I think the reason why is the same thing. Like, this isn't even an argument against what I was saying. I think everybody knows this.
Less exposure to abstract symbols, less complex media, and different cognitive demands.
I don't think that the reason why is that they have less complex media or there's less cognitive demands. I don't think that's even the reason at all. I think that a lot of these people just don't even care about it in the first place. Also, the way that you measured something 100 years ago is totally different foundation than the way that you would do it now. Tall people die sooner. At a certain amount of height, yes.
which means IQ scores are sensitive to the environment and improve when the environment improves. Access to schooling, nutrition, healthcare, the complexities of daily life, all of these things are relevant, and none were accounted for in Lin's work. Because of course they weren't. Lin was a self-described scientific racist. His goal was to show how inferior black people were. Richard Lin's work on race...
This is, again, it's not even about race in the first place. This person's arguing with me about something that's different. Now, I do think that if you controlled for every variable, here's the reality, right? Is that if you controlled for every single variable, and every variable was exactly the same, and you took 1 million people that lived in Somalia, and you took 1 million people that lived in China, and you judged their IQ, would they both have the same IQ? Everybody knows the answer to this. Everybody knows.
And IQ heavily influenced The Bell Curve, a 1994 book by psychologist Richard J. Herrnstein and political scientist Charles Murray that argued intelligence is largely shaped by genetics with some environmental influence, and that IQ is a stronger predictor of life outcomes, income, job success, crime, out-of-wedlock births, than the socioeconomic status you were born into. The Bell Curve has been challenged by geneticists, psychologists, and statisticians for overstating the heritability of IQ across groups and for downplaying environmental variables, treating socially constructed racial categories as biological truth. Richard Lin was one of the primary scholars who compiled and popularized cross-national IQ datasets.
Here's what I think also, because this is just like more bullshit. I think that what you should do is you should do more research into this and figure it out yourself. Go over there and test these people for IQ. Test people that came over here that don't have these same problems and then see what their IQs are. There's a reason why we don't do a lot of research on this. And the reason why people don't do research on this is because they're afraid of the answer. That's the reason why. And I want to go back to what I've said before is that look at the people that are advocating for more information versus look at the people that are advocating for less information. I'm confident that I think that more research and more investigation into this will lead to the obvious outcome. But for some people, they don't even want to talk about it. They don't even want to look into it. And that's the real problem. And they don't want to do that because what they've built onto it is they built an entire ideology of the blank slate. The blank slate doesn't exist. The blank slate is to a degree true, but there are also a lot of things about it that are not true. And so what happens is that you have people that have this entire ideology that's built around this lie, and because of that, they try to never talk about or never discuss any difference besides this. Can you explain why Lin said that Iran has an IQ of 80? It's been proven now it's 110. Well, I don't know. I didn't see about Iran. I have no idea what that reason is at all. I don't think that Iran has an IQ of 110, but I know that Iranians have very high IQs on average. 110 would be higher than anybody else in the world by 5 points. So I find that to be unlikely. But overall, I think that's very true.
Alleging to show innate racial hierarchies.
Yes.
This is the textbook definition of racism, by the way, that race is a fundamental determinant of human traits and that those different...
It is a fundamental determinant of traits. It obviously is. One of the best traits is skin color. Big surprise. People of one race are going to have one skin color. This is one thing that people don't even consider with like racism and skin color are actually two different things. Like, if you have people that are from a different race, like, race isn't always defined by just, like, one specific thing. Skin color is just the most obvious indicator of that. Very clearly, there are racial differences between people. Anybody knows this. This is the type of a priori knowledge that every single person in the entire world knows is true, but inside of Western culture, we're supposed to pretend like it's not true because people are all willingly participating in this deliberate lie. Very clearly, race is a factor. It's obviously a factor, same as gender is and everything else. But for some reason, because people are afraid of talking about this, nobody ever wants to look into it at all.
Produce an inherent superiority or hierarchy.
Yeah.
Anyway, those datasets compiled by Lin were later cited approvingly by the Bell Curve authors Murray and Herrnstein.
Yeah.
In fact, Murray has explicitly acknowledged Lin's work as part of the research base for their claims about group IQ differences. The problem is not simply that Lin helped...
Because also keep in mind that if you were actually trying to debunk this, you would do further research into people that live in these areas, and then he would be showing that further research and the IQ differences being more like smaller, right? Like, okay, well, there was other research, and this research came out and it proved that it wasn't true. Isn't it interesting to you that in all of these videos and all of this information, not a single actual point of like counter research is provided? It's all just people saying that he's racist, or other books that other people disagreed with, or talking about something in a theoretical means, but there's never actually any data that's disproving this. I wonder why that is. We all know why that is.
Extreme views, including open support for eugenics, but that his data practices have been widely criticized for flaws in its methodology.
Eugenics works. A good example of it is Yao Ming. So Yao Ming's like 7'4", 7'5", or something like that. And he was actually a product of China having people doing selective breeding. I mean, this is obviously true. If you have two black people that have a kid, the kid's going to be black. If you have two white people that have a kid, the kid's going to be white. If you have two people that are very tall that have a kid, the probability is the kid's going to be very tall. This is the type of what I was saying before. It is this willing, deliberate, and desperate attempt to totally deny every observable facet of reality. And this reality denial, there is an entire pyramid and an entire temple of misinformation and distorted values that are coming out of this. These are people who are fundamentally, not only are they against science, but they're afraid of the consequences of science. That's really it. That has nothing to do with IQ, though. What do you think the probability is that the hereditary traits that are physically observable are the only elements of things that could have anything to do with genetic variability? What do you think the probability is that height and skin color are almost 100% genetically heritable and IQ isn't at all? Really? Think about this for 3 seconds.
Upon reviewing Lin's work, Witchert states the following. The assertion that the average IQ of Africans is below 70 is not tenable, even under the most lenient of inclusion criteria. Because Lin missed a sizable portion of the relevant literature, their estimate of average IQ of Africans is clearly too low. Combined, the current systematic review and the results of our review of Raven's test suggests that the average IQ of African test takers is close to 80.
Is this an argument against me? Like, wait a minute, wait, so you're quoting people who are saying that it's not 67, it's 80? Like, oh my God, do you understand how massive of a difference that is versus 100? Holy shit, that's insane. Oh my God.
We believe that the accuracy...
It's not an F, it's a D-, guys. And this is their argument. There's a reason why as I said, there's a reason why they don't do research into this.
Estimates of national...
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, he's arguing against you? Yes, you cannot join the army with an IQ below 80, by the way. They're borderline? Exactly. So I think that the benchmark... So you cannot be part of the army if your IQ is, I think, below 82. And the reason why is because... And also keep in mind, average. Now, what does average mean? It means half of the people are below that. Uh-oh. Fill a society with a bunch of people where the average IQ is 80, and you're going to have a PvP server. Sorry. It's pretty fucking obvious.
IQ of sub-Saharan African countries can be improved considerably.
What's the median? Oh, okay.
What Witcherts is saying here is that Lin conducted bad science, and that the average estimated IQ of poverty-stricken African people is actually close to average, which is usually defined...
the average... It's actually... Wait, what?
African people is actually close to average.
80 is not the average at all. What are you talking about? That's extremely low in America. That's incredibly low. It's low in Asia too. Wait, what?
Which is usually defined as between 85 to 115.
So if it's between 85 and 115, and he said it was low 80s and it was 80 to 82, then it wouldn't be part of the average. You just said the number wrong.
Their environment improves, so too with their average IQ scores, due to the Flynn effect. And remember, we are talking about countries that have faced civil war, famine, disrupted schooling, disease.
Civil war, famine, disruptive schooling, disease. Okay, these seem all great reasons to bring these people into America. This is such a great list of reasons why these people should come to our country. Yeah, I mean, now, like, guys, I wasn't convinced. Now I'm totally convinced. Now they should be here for sure.
And extreme poverty, not to mention constant exploitation by Western countries that literally...
That's right. It's Western countries' fault why these countries are shitholes. And that's the reason why, for example, whenever Britain invaded China and forced them to, buy tea and stuff like that, and they colonized India, that's why there's no smart people and people successful in China and India. That's the exact reason. Because, see, like, every country that, Europeans colonized is now just totally fucking famine-stricken and terrible. Like China, for example. It's just...
persists to this day.
God.
The phone you're watching this video on contains cobalt, a chemical element that is abundant in the Congo. This element is mined using child labor in the Congo, and not only does this mining degrade the environment and pollute the local water system, it results in birth defects of the children born there.
So why would you want to bring a bunch of defective kids into America? Why would you want to do that? It's stupid. Like, you're making my argument. Like, duh. Like, nobody wants to do that. It's ridiculous. Of course.
High levels of cobalt and uranium in their blood. In 1996, the American Psychological Association's Task Force on Intelligence explicitly warned that environmental factors such as education, nutrition, and health significantly influence IQ test performance.
Why do they keep warning and not researching? Why is it that all of these people are talking about it, but there's never any data analysis? Don't you find that to be interesting? What are the odds of that?
If you ignore those variables and jump straight to biology, well, you're not following the science.
They're all variables.
So this brings us back to Zach's tweet.
Right.
Yes. This claim is racist because it was made by a racist whose entire purpose was to denigrate an entire continent to uphold white supremacist narratives.
Guys, it's 80. It's not 67. It's not 68. It's actually all the way up there at 80. It's racist. It's racist. Guys, it's racist. Oh, no. Jesus Christ. Keep in mind the biggest mining operations in Africa are Chinese. They usually employ Russian mercenaries for protection. What's this Western bullshit? Well, of course the Chinese do that. I mean, duh.
Narratives like eugenics. The claim wasn't a fact because facts survive scrutiny. They don't.
That's right, guys. The best case scenario is that it's 80. Imagine that.
Collapse the moment you ask who collected the data and whether other researchers could replicate those results.
Why are other researchers not replicating these results on a regular basis? Why is this not happening? Why is it that, we're talking about researchers replicating results? Why is it that none of these researchers are doing this on a regular basis? Why is it that this outcome isn't able to be reproduced through science? It's because they're afraid to do so. And they're afraid to do so because they know what the answer is.
A worldview requires Somalia or any other African country to be permanently capped at 68 IQ in order to make sense, then the science wasn't the point.
Yes.
The conclusion is.
Yes.
And that,
well, the conclusion is the point, actually. Like, if there's a country that has an IQ of 68 average, or let's say it's 80 on average, let's assume it's 85. Do I want to bring a bunch of median level, average 85 IQ people into the country? No, it's because these people are like an entire almost standard deviation below the average, and I think that their functional value in society is going to be minimal. That's the reason why.
Is narrative pushing.
Is this the whole video? Jesus. It's the whole video. Man. That's sad. Wow, mic drops? I know. So basically, this guy spent his entire video calling me racist, and then when he finally showed the data still showed the exact same thing that I was saying, but he said it was a different number. If you think that there's no difference between somebody with a 100 IQ and a 100 and an 80 IQ, you probably have an 80 IQ. I'm sorry, but there's a reason why the military doesn't let people in with that level of an IQ. It's because they're functionally fucking useless and they're stupid. And the fact is that you don't want to bring any of those people. This guy's a generational meltier. Read the tweet and scroll up. What is this? Oh my God. He's too personal instead of factual. Well, he's in, like, what is here? No, these numbers show. Oh, here we go. Oh no, wait. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my. Bro. Oh my God. This is a another idiot parenting something he knows nothing about. Using per capita for crime arrests is fudging of the... Gentlemen, oh my God. Wow. Okay, give me a minute. I gotta look at it. All right, I'm back. So, using per capita for crime arrests is fudging of the numbers. Guys, listen, if you're looking at this number, why are people in your rates below average? That's a good question, right? Oh my fucking God. The problem is arrests don't take into account exonerations, and black people are the majority of exonerees. Try again, 11 IQ. Surely, guys, there's nothing in per capita at all, and every group of people commits crime at the exact same ratio. Of course, that's exactly the argument. Black people are over-policed, and it gives rise to misconduct. Black people are over-policed and it gives rise to misconduct? Oh my God. Black people do not dominate crime statistics, white people do. That's why you idiots try to use, quote, per capita? This guy's dumber than I thought. Oh my God. So basically, I think I'm understanding something. I think that this person made this video about me because, honestly, they probably thought they were being targeted. I think this guy straight up doesn't like white people. Uh-oh. Here we go. Let's see it. It's not. I'm not. It's irrelevant. The point is who started it. Objectively, the answer is white people. Who started World War I? We can discuss Asians or we can discuss the topic at hand. We're not going to do both. The claim was that white people are the most destructive race. Is this not a true claim? I'm asking because I don't know, but I do know there's evidence supporting this claim. Oh my God. We have an actual racist retard. Holy shit. So this is the guy that wanted to criticize me for racism, and so he uses a bunch of bullshit statistics, and then he finally, the only concrete evidence that he uses is something that is basically proving my point, and I can see why he takes this stuff personally. What a retard. Master and other things you never say to anyone in person. Why waste your limited McDonald's internet on frivolous nonsense instead of engaging with the topic? White people are a world minority, yet they commit the most atrocities per capita. You won't like that one. Really? Well, what about Mao? And no, these groups show white people commit rape more than the other groups combined. Do you want to know the reason why rape is being... this is going to be maybe a spicy fucking take here. But the reason why rape is being seen by white people more, it's because in a lot of places in Africa, it's not against the law. That's the reason why. Has it ever occurred to you that they don't even have laws for spousal rape? They don't even have laws for rape in general. So this whole thing, yeah, duh. Fucking obviously. What a stupid argument. Yeah, they don't have the data. Do you know why they don't have the data? It's because they don't care. They treat women like second-class citizens and like livestock. Duh. What is this here? Somalia outlawed rape in 2018? Really? Wow. Perfect. Good timing. And so, did you hear spousal abuse dropped to 0% in Afghanistan? Yeah, it sure did. And anyway, you're trying to manipulate the numbers. Do you think a judge looks at a white person being tried for rape and thinks about per capita? What does this even mean? I don't even know what this means. Exactly. So you're telling me that you condemn whitewashing as a weak attempt to win a debate online. You don't have a history of condemning the nefarious acts of white people, so I reject the attempt. You do, however, have a racist streak, pattern recognition, remember? So we have somebody here who is actually a racist. We have an actual racist person who got upset that I said that Somalians had a very low IQ and I don't want them in America. He's also weirdly obsessed with IQ. Wait, what is this? Weirdly obsessed with IQ. Uh-oh. In case you were wondering, your IQ score is 141. So this guy got a 141 IQ score. Wow, that's really impressive. Honestly, I would have expected a better video. Yeah, I mean, really, after all this, this is sad. Honestly, this is a stronger argument against what I said than his video is. Because how is it that a person that says that they have 141 IQ can be this stupid? No, this is actually a better argument than his entire video. Wow. AI helped him assign actual IQ. Who cares? We're thinking about IQ about this random person who gives a shit. And so anyway, notice how we aren't talking about this at all. You want to take it there. Which ethnic group in America brutalized and enslaved who again? This is right, guys. Which ethnic group right now, this is what I think is funny. Which ethnic group right now has slavery? Which Western country has slavery now? None of them. How many African countries have slavery? Come on. What are we doing? This is so obvious. How do you think? Didn't they build that nice thing in Qatar? Was it Qatar? Whenever they built that hole, that I think, yeah, of course. Yeah, they do have this. Wait, and this is the same guy that just got done making the argument about these kids, the current state of child labor in the cobalt mines in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So they're do you think these kids want to do this? Fuck no, they don't want to do this. So you use this argument. This person does not believe that you can be racist against white people. That's why he openly hates white people, yet he's the one that's able to call anybody racist. Well, this guy's just an idiot. I think we're going to have to focus on him more. Now that I'm seeing this, we're going to have to make more content about this individual. I think this is going to continue to, this is going to be the gift that keeps on giving. Oh my God. Technically, Americans bought slaves. The slaves were enslaved by African kingdoms. Yeah, we didn't come over to Africa with a lasso and round up all of the people that we used as slaves. We didn't do that. They sold us the slaves because they had enslaved them when we got there. That's the reason. Duh. This is crazy. Some of these people don't understand. In a room of 100 people, 2 wear red shirts, 98 wear white. 1 of the red shirts steal, 30 blue shirts steal. Per capita, the red shirts have a 50% crime rate. Blue has a 31% crime rate. Oh my God. The sample size is 30. Of course, yes, wow. You don't understand what per capita is used for. Only absolute numbers matter for law enforcement. Only absolute numbers matter for law enforcement. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, he's also melting down in his own comment section. Wait, what? He's crashing out in his own comment. Is this true? The Roach King literally reacting to the video. Video's barreling up for an hour. He's that starved for content. And of course, his weirdo audience has attempted to come here, brigade the video, and leave downvotes. They're saying what they're doing. Unfortunately for them, they won't be able to comment here. Yeah, you can. I can comment. It's not even a big deal. So, yeah. I mean, what is this? Yeah, you obviously can. You can comment. You can't shut. You have to. You can't shut down comments from everybody. You have to either turn off comments entirely, or you have to make it to where comments are on approval only. That's not how it works. Link the video. I'll link the video to you guys. This is the one I watched, right? He's individually deleting them. Wait a minute. So this guy's individually deleting comments after he got called out. Oh, no. There's the video. Oh my God. So he's out there, bro. He's out there in the trenches fighting. No, delete it. Shut it down. No, guys. That's not it at all. And what a high IQ opinion. Yes. Oh my fucking God. This is ridiculous. He can't individually delete all our comments. Honestly, he's going to have to, right? And wow, I knew this day would come, that IQ is a load of nonsense and not indicative of intelligence in the slightest. Anybody who says this is a moron. If you told somebody that the person who is your surgeon has an IQ of 70, that person would be fucking terrified and they would come up with a reason to get out of the surgery. The idea that IQ doesn't matter will immediately stop the moment that your life is being put in the hands of a person with an IQ of 70. So this is so delusional. It's not true at all. Everybody knows it's not true. You're just a moron. And how to update my own will? Yeah, I guess so. They won't admit it. No, they won't. Who is this person? Birdman. What does he do? He complains about racism. So let me get this straight. So he complains about racism and he makes negative videos about Charlie Kirk. And then he goes on Twitter and he's just profoundly racist towards white people. And he crashes out and complains about them. Oh my God. This isn't a 60, not offending anybody. Per capita is used to figure things out like resource allocation. Right. Literally does not matter to law enforcement agencies. That's the entire context of the crime. Retard supremacists latched on to a NAR argument. This person thinks per capita doesn't matter. Oh my God. Wow. And what is this here? I'm gonna check you. Did your mom have when you smoked a cigarette? This is another one. Smoked a cigarette. It's hooked up to the machine. So you have somebody, you're trying to insult me or be rude to me or something like this. The funny thing is that she even admitted that. She said as they were carrying her out of her room, the EMS was carrying her out. She says, "I'm stupid. I'm such an asshole." She even agreed with you. She said it was stupid herself. Like, what do you mean? Like, everybody's on the same page with this. It was dumb as hell. Like, duh. It's not even true. What a disgusting chatter. Well, people like this love to escalate things to the emotional attacks, attacking your dead family members, everything like that. And the reason why they do that is because they don't have anything else. There's nothing that it has any basis at all. And that's it. Guys just clout chasing. Look at all the tweets. They have minimal engagement. Well, of course they do. He's a moron. But anyway, it doesn't matter to me. I like this. You think I'm some leftist that's going to be shocked at these images? Oh, God. What's this? There's any more of these here? U.S. social assistance recipients, and it's the majority of people are white. Man. Imagine having such a profoundly and tremendously, like, massive misunderstanding of statistics and information. Like, really, 140 IQ, and you still don't understand per capita. But per capita doesn't matter. The guy just hates white people. He does. It's very embarrassing to see people like this that are talking about this. There is. And now he's upset. And again, he's upset that I reacted to his video. So he makes an entire video about me, and then I react to it, and he's crying about it. Man. That's sad, isn't it? I'll read a few more comments. I want to move on and look at some other stuff, too. And so clearly, that's what it is. Shouldn't the graph be the same as the population pie chart? It's so overrepresented. Yeah, of course, right? And absolutely. I don't think he doesn't understand. He's intentionally misunderstanding. Well, he's just stupid, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's sad to see somebody come together and put this together because it's just so... None of this makes sense at all. Dude doesn't have an IIQ test. Who cares whether he has a high IQ or not? Like, again, when you're looking at averages, that's what you're really talking about. Meme them until they cry. I bet he's here in chat. I bet he is too. Not 140, took him a few tries, I guess. Maybe you're right. He's a retarded racist. Yep, exactly. His video never even had a practical point in it. At one point, he just confirmed your point. That's right.